I'm not a lawyer, but have y'all heard about the Romeka Meeks case out of Chicago? I've actually got a ton of requests to talk about this case. And yes, I've been tracking it since it happened, but y'all know me, or maybe you don't. My preference is to talk about cases that I can read for myself. And since I got my hands on the documents for this one, let me give you the recap. Trigger warning, this story is really sad. I'm telling you now. So this is 31-year-old Romeka Meeks, whose real name is Romeka Blackman, and she has a 6-year-old son that she shares with this man whose name is Carlos Smith. But Carlos also has another child. He has a 6-month-old that he shares with this woman whose name is Quadasia Johnson, but Quadasia apparently goes by the name of Holly, so that's what I'm gonna call her throughout this video. So those are the key players: Romeka and Carlos, who have a 6-year-old, and then Holly and Carlos, who have a 6-month-old. And as you may have been suspecting, there is some history between the three of them. According to the court docs, in December of 2024, Holly filed a request for a stalking no contact order against Romeka. In the request, Holly said that Romeka had been making verbal threats against her, and although there was no physical contact between the two of them, because the two women had actually never even met each other, the verbal threats were made repeatedly and in different ways. According to Holly, Romeka would make the threats through Carlos's family. She would also make them through Holly's family, including allegedly calling Holly's grandmother once to make a threat, and Romeka allegedly would also call Holly herself to threaten her. And so Holly files the request in December of 2024, and then in July of 2025, a judge granted the request. So the no contact order was put in place, but that order was never served on Romeka, meaning she was never notified, or at least not officially notified, that the order had been put in place. And there were attempts to serve her this order, but it was apparently never successful. So that's the backstory. Now let's fast forward to the date of the incident, which was September 8th, 2025. According to these court documents, that morning, Romeka dropped her son, the one she shared with Carlos, off at school, which was located at 55 West Cermak Road in Chicago. It was a Monday, and Romeka actually posted on her Instagram a note that she left in her son's lunchbox, which said, quote, "Happy Monday, son. Today is a fresh start to this, and you can start off strong. Always remain yourself. You're the coolest, smartest, and funniest kid I know. I love you so much, and you make me so proud. Have a great day. Mommy loves you. Love, Mommy." Now, around the same time that Romeka is dropping off her son at school, Carlos and Holly are less than 500 feet away at 20 West Cermak Road doing some kind of car exchange. And just for some visual context, here is how far Google Maps says the addresses were. So here is the school, 50 West Cermak, and here's where Holly and Carlos were at 20 West Cermak. And for even more of a reference, this is the street view. So this area where these cars are parked is 20 West Cermak, again, where Holly and Carlos are. And then this building over here is 50 West Cermak, where Romeka does this school drop-off. So everybody's in the area around the same time. According to the court documents, the way Carlos and Holly arrived there is that just before 8:30 that morning, witness number 1, who is Carlos, had driven his black Mercedes from his house to 20 West Cermak. Holly, the defendant, was in the front seat and their 6-month-old was in the back. Holly's car was already parked at 20 West Cermak, and so when they pull up, Carlos and Holly get out and begin loading the baby in her car from his car. And while they are doing that, Romeka pulls up. She gets out and an argument ensues. And then people in the area begin to take notice. One witness who was driving by told police that he saw Carlos standing in between Holly and Romeka as they were arguing. And then at one point, Holly began advancing towards Romeka, but Carlos was able to kind of push her away. According to this witness, when Holly was advancing towards her, Romeka was standing stationary, unarmed, with her arms folded across her chest. There were 2 more witnesses who police referred to as witness number 3 and witness number 4, and they also gave their accounts to police. Witness number 3 says she first took notice of what was happening while she was on the bus. When the bus stopped, she got off, and while waiting at another stop, she observed Romeka walk towards her car, which was a white Kia, and while standing in the threshold of the door and the car, witness number 3 says she saw Carlos begin swinging the car door on Romeka. So he's like trying to close it in on her as she's standing in between the door and the car. And at this point, witness number 3 says she calls the police to report what she was seeing. Witness number 3 and witness number 4 both said that they saw Romeka then get all the way in her car, and when she did, Holly walked over and began making threats. Romeka then gets back out of her car, and at this point, according to the reports, Carlos walks up behind Romeka and puts her in a chokehold. There's more arguing. The reports say Holly began threatening to use her weapon on Romeka. And then the witnesses say Romeka was able to break free from Carlos's chokehold. But by this time, Holly had walked to her car and retrieved her weapon. Witness number 3 says Holly then pointed her weapon at Romeka, began walking towards Romeka, and then discharged it multiple times. There was the first shot, a pause, and then 2 more shots after the first one. Now, witness number 4 told police that his back was turned when the shots were actually fired, but by the time he turned back around to see what was happening, he did see the weapon in Holly's hand. Now, after the shooting, did call 911 to report what happened, and witness number 3 told police she saw Holly and Carlos fist bump each other after everything was done. When police arrived, they find Romeka unresponsive, and shortly after being transported to the hospital, she was pronounced deceased. Holly and Carlos, who remained on the scene after the incident, were identified by witnesses as the shooter and a person being involved in the case. They take Holly to the police station, and she tells them that this was all done in self-defense. And that day, she was not charged for the incident. But as of this week, now 3 months later, she has officially been arrested and charged with first-degree murder. And just for context, premeditation is not a requirement for first-degree murder in Illinois. First-degree murder in Illinois is simply defined as killing someone unlawfully. It does not have to be premeditated. Now, Holly's initial request for bond was denied, and after the hearing, here's what the father of her child, Carlos, said to Tia Ewing of Fox 32, who's been following this case.
So a lot of information came out in court today. Witnesses saying what they saw, but you were there. What's your reaction to what you heard came out in court today?
When I heard it, I'm just looking, it was unbelievable, but I was there. And I know for a fact none of that happened, how they just explained it. But my truth will get out here, and I hope everybody understand. That's really it. I can't even say too much right now, because it's just gonna feel like I'm going against them, they going against me. We just going back and forth. But the truth is going to come out.
Holly has another hearing coming up on December 23rd, and it's also worth noting that she is currently pregnant. So that's where we stand with this case. We are still at the very beginning of it, so you can expect it will probably be a while before we actually get to a trial, and I'm sure there'll be a ton of coverage. We also are going to have the preliminary hearing, so we'll probably get some more information, and as long as I can get access to either documents or a stream that I can watch myself, I will continue providing updates on this case. Last thing, I'm planning to talk about this case on my podcast next week. So if you have thoughts, or if you've been also following this case and want to give your opinion, you can do so at speakpipe.com/I'm not a lawyer, but rest in peace to Romeka, and sending so much love to all of the kids affected by this, because this is so sad.